Now, before I start this video in earnest, I have to openly acknowledge I was wrong. I was possibly a little bit overexcited and overenthusiastic at the time, but I was wrong. Now, if you look at my original review of the latest Wallace and Gromit film, Vengeance Most Fowl, I remember saying, pretty much at the start of the video, if this film does not get an Oscar at the Academy Awards, then we have failed as a species. And I think I said that at the time because I was kind of overexcited. I really enjoyed this film. I really thought it was going to do well. But the Oscars and the Academy Awards for this year have just passed, and Vengeance Most Foul was not a winner. And I think I'm okay with that. I mean, this is a film series that I thought did very well, and it's won Oscars before, but evidently this time it did not. But before I get into the details of it, let's briefly take a look at Wallace and Gromit's history with the Oscars. Because they have done very well over the last 30 years or so. Now, to give you a hint, I'll give you a basic summary. The first Wallace and Gromit film, A Grand Day Out, was released in 1989, and it was somewhat originally a graduation project for animator Nick Park from when he was kind of starting out his work and when he was studying at Bristol University. And the film, he originally planned to do a lot more for it. In fact, he planned to do something like a 40-minute special with a load of stuff that he had to cut out, including sort of like a McDonald's on the moon, a robot cook, aliens, a robot parking attendant, and a prison break sequence, until somebody convinced him to kind of trim it down. And the first film, A Grand Day Out, was apparently so well done that it was nominated for the 63rd Academy Awards. And if what I've heard serves me right, they apparently had to create a whole new category just to be able to talk about this film. Best Short Animated Film. So it was nominated alongside other animated films at the time, including an animated short called Grasshoppers, and another Nick Park project he was working on, Creature Comforts. Now, the ultimate winner of the Best Short Animated Film for the 63rd Academy Awards was Creature Comforts. So Nick Park did get an Oscar, but it wasn't for Wallace and Gromit. It wouldn't matter too much, though, because Wallace and Gromit would soon gain an Oscar of their own. In 1993, they released the second Wallace and Gromit film, The Wrong Trousers. And this proved to be a huge moment for the series, and it was nominated for Best Short Animated Film at the 66th Academy Awards in 1993 and 1994. It was up against films including Blindscape, The Mighty River, Small Talk, and The Village, and it ultimately won. So Wallace and Gromit now had their first Oscar, and Nick Park had two to his name. They continued this stream of success with A Close Shave in 1995, with that film being nominated for Best Short Animated Film at the 68th Academy Awards, up against the likes of The Chicken from Outer Space, The End, Gagarin, and the Mickey Mouse short Runaway Brain. And it ultimately won. So Wallace and Gromit now had two Oscars to their name. And this also continued with The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, their feature film, in 2005. This was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the 78th Academy Awards, and it ultimately won. It was up against the likes of Howl's Moving Castle and Corpse Bride. This is like the first one that I'm actually thinking to myself, wow, like this is huge. I mean, of the others, the only one that I really am somewhat familiar with was Runaway Brain, but Howl's Moving Castle I've heard about, and Corpse Bride, that for me is like a huge step. A Wallace and Gromit film did better than Tim Burton's Corpse Bride, because I know Corpse Bride is a very, very popular film. However, that would be Wallace and Gromit's last Oscar, or at least their last Oscar win, because in 2008 they released the next film of the Wallace and Gromit franchise, their fifth film and their fourth short, A Matter of Loaf and Death, in 2008. Now, that one was nominated for Best Animated Short Film at the 82nd Academy Awards, but it ultimately lost to Logorama, which, I'll admit, I think after hearing it from a review of Wallace and Gromit films from, I think it was Electric Dragon 505 here on YouTube, I personally heard it as Local Grandma. No, it's Logorama. It was up against the likes of Logorama, French Toast, Gramiot Grimm's Sleeping Beauty, and The Lady and the Reaper. And this was not Wallace and Gromit's first loss, because of course A Grand Day Out didn't get an Oscar, but this was the first one after their streak. So, yeah. And it seems, for Vengeance Most Foul, I think we all came in hoping that would Wallace and Gromit be able to kind of get back that streak and get themselves another Oscar, because Vengeance Most Foul was nominated for Best Animated Feature Film at the 97th Academy Awards. And it was up... when I look at who they were up against, this was going to be a tough sell, because, okay, along with Vengeance Most Foul, you're up against a Pixar film, Inside Out 2. That's already a tall order. Memoir of a Snail and The Wild Robot, which I have heard people talking about a lot over the past year. However, the ultimate winner for the 97th Academy Awards Best Animated Feature Film was a Latvian film called Flow, or as it's known in Latvian, Straum. And I will admit, you know what people say, you can't judge a book by its cover. But I will admit, after I heard how Wallace and Gromit had lost to Flow, I did briefly go up and look up a trailer for Flow just to see who had managed to nick the Oscar, who had managed to win. And I will say, just from the trailer, Flow looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, for me, it struck me as almost alien. It was entirely new. I mean, silent films, modern silent films and animation, they're pretty much nothing new. Even Aardman had their own series with the Shaun the Sheep ones. However, while those, I think, are more geared towards comedy, Flow looks to be almost entirely natural. And as I said, it seems like something we haven't yet seen. And I probably couldn't make a judgment about the film without seeing the entire thing. But even just from looking at that trailer, I can understand why it won and why Vengeance Most Foul ultimately fell short with this one. I mean, as I said, it was up against some stiff contenders with not only a Wallace and Gromit film, but also a Pixar film and The Wild Robot. I honestly don't know how to describe it. Go and have a look at the trailers for Flow yourself. Maybe even look for the full film if you can. But as I said, I'm not sure. It seems something distinctly new. Maybe that's why Wallace and Gromit was so popular when they were first starting out in the 1980s and 1990s. Like, it was new, and while A Grand Day Out didn't get an Oscar, by the time The Wrong Trousers came around, they perfected their craft. They knew what they were doing, and ultimately we appreciated the effort that went into it. But ultimately, do I think this is the end for Wallace and Gromit? Well, no. Because here's the thing. Yes, Wallace and Gromit haven't had an Oscar in a while, but of the 6 films that they've released, 3 of them have still won Oscars. So they're not exactly crying out for Oscars. And here's the thing, if I was going to say that they had truly lost their Oscar mojo, then they wouldn't even be nominated. But here's the thing, A Matter of Life and Death and Vengeance Most Foul have both been nominated for Academy Awards. Yes, they've ended up falling short, but they were still nominated, and that's no small feat. Like, it's not exactly easy to get an Oscar nomination for a film. So just to be nominated for these films and be in contention for them, that's still pretty good. And I remember giving an interview when Nick Powell was asked, is this the last Wallace and Gromit adventure? He admitted that he does want to go on and do other things, like other projects with Aardman and the like, but he does have more ideas for Wallace and Gromit, so this may not be the end for them. And though Pete Salas passed away in 2017, Vengeance Most Foul showed that they could still find a new voice actor for Wallace and have it work on the entire film. So I would say that Wallace and Gromit, they've got 3 Oscars under their belt and they've had 6 films, and that's still damn impressive. So do I think... Am I upset that Vengeance Most Foul lost out on the Oscars? A little bit, but I will say Flow deserved it from what it looks like. Do I wish they had done more? Well, sure, but in the end, I'm happy enough with the way things worked out, and I will admit I was wrong. We have not failed as a species, and Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul could still walk away with its head held high. Anyway, until my next video, see ya.